almost forgot. Before you will throw a plant in a garbage bin or just outside, or just give up on a plant thinking that it has died, think again. Because very often we can save the plants. And in this video, I want to show you 6 steps that you can do before you throw your plants away. Well, first you will notice that of course the plant is not thriving, the plant looks weak and sick with leaves that turn yellow, brown, black, whatever it is. The stems are mushy and okay, the plant is dying, so let's throw it away. Wait for a second. Before we do this, step number 1 that you can do is of course to observe the plant, to check all the leaves and stems to understand, is the whole plant rotten or there is still a leaf, a stem that you can save. If there is anything that you can save, of course, cut back all the rotten, dry leaves, stems, everything that is not looking healthy, and go to number 2. And step number 2 will be to check the roots. Even though you can see that maybe half of the plant is still okay, but if half of it was rotten, was yellow, was brown, whatever it was, most probably the issue is with the roots. So I will definitely recommend that you take the plant out of the soil and check the roots. Most probably, if you will slightly pull on the roots, some of them will be rotten and they will come off very easily. In this case, you will need to also remove all the rotten roots and see if there is nothing that you can save from the roots. Then maybe you can put the plant in a jar with water so that it starts to grow the roots again. However, if it's a snake plant, for example, you don't need to put it in the water. You can directly plant it back into the soil. And this is actually step number 3, that you will need to also repot, basically plant it in a new, fresh soil. So either you will put whatever you have saved, if there are no roots, in the water to grow roots, or with some plants you can put them directly back into the soil even if there are no roots at all. For example, aloe, for example, most of the succulents can grow, and even philodendrons can grow this way as well. But if you have a little bit of roots still, try to repot in fresh soil and wait a little bit. They will start to grow. Step number 4 will be to adjust watering in this case. When you repot the plants, most probably they were overwatered or there was some sort of disease, but when you repot them, water once and then wait until it will be the right time to water again. So step number 4 will be to adjust your watering a little bit, because you will need to understand what was the mistake in the previous scenario and then adjust it. The next step would be to adjust everything in the environment, and it can be literally everything. Maybe your plant lacked sunlight, maybe it needed more air humidity, then you will need to introduce an air humidifier. Maybe you will need to also, I don't know, do something else, increase the temperature for the plant. It really needs to be very specific to your conditions. There is no one rule that I can say, increase the temperature. Maybe you are growing your plant already in a hot environment. So you will need to understand for yourself what could have been the reason that led to that situation with the plant. And before I tell you the last step, if you are watching by now, please subscribe and like the video, because this way we can reach more people who like to grow plants and help them too to grow lush and healthy plants. So the last step will be to be patient. This is very important because this will help you to observe your plant better and to understand if your plant is growing, if your plant is struggling, what to adjust, what to tweak a little bit so that your plant feels even better. That was a firework, by the way. That was a very loud firework. Yes, so what I was saying is that be patient, observe your plants, try to also understand what the soil tells you, because very often soggy, always wet soil means that maybe there are not many roots to absorb the water from the soil. That's why it stays soggy. Maybe you are watering too much, or maybe the soil is not the right type of potting mix, the right type of soil for your specific plant. For example, we cannot grow really, let's say, an African violet in a succulent soil, or we cannot use an orchid mix for sansevieria, for example. Or we cannot grow an orchid in a normal potting mix for most of our plants. Usually what happens is that we just plant the plants in a pot or in a soil that we have at the moment, and that's not the right one, and after a couple of weeks or months we see some problems. So if we fix everything from the very beginning, the right pot, the right soil, the right conditions in terms of temperature, the sunlight, air, humidity, this is already the foundation, the good start for our plants. And so what I want to show you is that this is a pot where I had my Maranta, and my Maranta died completely. There were no leaves, no stems, nothing. I really thought it's dead, but I somehow couldn't throw it away because I know what Marantas do. Sometimes they come back, they grow again. And what happened after 2 months? And I haven't been watering this pot for maybe more than a month, really. And look, just today I noticed that a new leaf is growing. Look at that. I just watered it today because if it's growing, it's here. Look at this. This is a new leaf growing and it's gonna open up very, very soon. But look at the soil, it's so bad. I haven't been watering it, it's so dry. I just watered just a little bit so that this small sprout can open up into a new leaf that will grow into a new stem. And if you have any questions, of course, please let me know. Write in the comments and I will see you in the next one. Stay passionate about plants.